Our story begins with a new season, a new school semester, and a nervous boy on his first day of class. By luck, or maybe not, he ends up sitting next to the most famous and dangerous girl in school. She might even be the most mysterious girl anyone had ever seen. With pale skin, red eyes, and an aura that screamed danger, she stood out. He had only heard rumors about her before, but now, seeing her up close, she seemed even stranger. Kuroki, our main character, almost wanted to cry. He was sure they were nothing alike. He had always listened to gossip about her. Whenever he could, he followed any news about Chihara-san. Her name was always on the lips of the boys in school. They talked about her like she was some kind of supernatural being. Kuroki was amazed at how much attention she got. And now, here she was, right next to him. He couldn't even imagine talking to her. But then, she suddenly looked in his direction, and he froze. Kuroki looked away quickly, but he could feel her staring at him. He thought maybe she was angry because he had looked at her. He felt extremely nervous. From the corner of his eye, he saw she was still staring. Why was she doing that? It made him uncomfortable. Was she mad? Kuroki felt like his brain had been pierced by a sharp arrow. He didn't know what to do, but Chihara didn't look away. It was like she could see through him and knew how insecure he felt. Kuroki knew he had to act. He turned toward her, planning to apologize, but she had already turned her chair to face him. He trembled. She sat still, almost like a robot, eyes wide open and unblinking. Scared and unsure what to do, Kuroki prayed she wasn't going to destroy him. Finally, he gathered some courage and said her name, hoping to understand what she wanted. But instead of answering, she stood up and walked toward him. Kuroki's eyes wandered, noticing the girl's figure, but he quickly tried to stop himself. He was more worried about what would happen next. Everything was spinning in his mind. He started to think this was a prank. Maybe there was a hidden camera? He remembered people saying Chihara knew some strange people, and her behavior now seemed to confirm it. He felt overwhelmed. If he could, he would have grabbed someone's hand just to cry. Chihara's eyes were intense, but also curious. We'll probably hear more about them later in the story. Kuroki noticed that now, besides staring, she had raised her arms like she was about to attack. She reached for his neck, as if to bite him. But then she simply whispered, asking to see his notebook. Kuroki handed her his math notebook and nervously mentioned she was standing way too close. She took it and went back to her seat, thanking him. Kuroki sat there, stunned. He was sweating all over. He still didn't know if she was dangerous. But then she handed him something, a small book, and with a sweet smile, said it was a thank you gift. Kuroki didn't get it, but he thanked her for the Japanese history book. Then the teacher's voice echoed through the classroom, and things went back to normal, at least on the surface. But for Kuroki, something had definitely changed. As he was still trying to calm down, the teacher asked him to solve a problem, but Kuroki wasn't in any shape to answer. Chihara was now sleeping, with her eyes wide open. That terrified him. He couldn't concentrate at all. He kept watching her, and noticed she was staring at her wrist with a strange kind of joy. That was the second time Kuroki saw her smile. The other girls thought it was weird too. To them, it seemed like Chihara enjoyed the sight of blood. They were scared. Kuroki, however, wasn't exactly scared. He was fascinated. After class, he walked down the hallway looking like he'd just seen a ghost. Then, Chihara appeared in front of him, holding something in her hand. Kuroki froze. He was sweating again, trying to say something. Finally, he managed to say her name. She just looked at him with her red, mysterious eyes and held out a pack of gum. Kuroki stared at it, confused. What was this about? Was she giving it to him? She didn't say anything, just kept her hand out. Then she popped a piece in her mouth and started chewing. Kuroki realized she was offering him a piece. At first, he hesitated, but then a thought hit him. If he took the gum, it would be like sharing a kiss. Even though that idea made him nervous, something deep inside made him happy. It would be his first kiss, in a way. Not wanting to seem rude, he accepted the gum. Chihara watched him chew with interest, like it was something completely new. After a short silence, Kuroki tried to make conversation. He said he used to chew a gum like that, only smaller. Chihara smiled at him in a slightly creepy way. Then she handed him the whole pack of gum and turned to walk away. Kuroki quickly called her name again. The girl turned around, said Kuroki's name like it was a new word to her, and casually said goodbye. Kuroki said goodbye too, and kept thinking about how interesting she was. Chihara was writing something with a marker. When the bell rang, she was still focused on her notes. It looked like she used her wrist like a planner. Whatever goal she had of getting close to Kuroki seemed to have worked. After class, Kuroki was in the bathroom washing his hands. Looking into the mirror, he thought about how strange his first day had been. It felt unreal. He had always been scared of popular people and thought they'd dislike him. When he left the bathroom still thinking about Chihara, he was shocked to find her sitting outside, as if she had been waiting for him. Nervously, Kuroki asked if something was wrong. but she calmly said she had seen him and asked if he wanted to walk home together. Kuroki found it odd that she had waited for him outside the boys' bathroom. They looked at each other. Chihara seemed a little anxious since he wasn't responding, but the truth was, Kuroki was just slow to process things. He asked her again. Did she really want to walk home with him? He asked twice, not believing it. Chihara didn't seem to understand what was so strange about the idea. Kuroki then started thinking of all sorts of reasons why she might want that. In the end, he asked why she'd do something so unexpected. Chihara opened her eyes wide, clearly surprised by his reaction. Thinking she'd been rejected, she turned to walk away. But Kuroki, realizing too late, called out for her to wait and followed after her. She turned around and said yes when he asked if she was also taking the train home. Kuroki, blushing, touched her backpack and told her he was too. Suddenly, Chihara froze and opened her mouth like a machine that had glitched. Kuroki wondered if she was okay or maybe even relieved. She raised her hand to her ear, slowly calmed down, and acted like nothing had happened. Then she signaled for them to keep walking. As they walked side by side, Kuroki started to think she might not be so scary after all. He remembered how calm she had looked while waiting for him outside the bathroom. They reached the bike parking area. Kuroki, a bit unsure, asked if she rode a bike. Chihara looked confused. He explained that some students rode bikes to the train station. She seemed surprised by the idea, but quickly said she didn't ride a bike. That made Kuroki happy. He didn't know how to ride one either. He was surprised by how casually he had reacted, like they were already friends. Chihara blushed, almost as if she could hear his thoughts. Kuroki, still a little shocked by himself, repeated out loud that she didn't know how to ride a bike. As they continued walking, a long silence filled the air. Kuroki wanted to say something, but couldn't think of anything meaningful. He called out to her again, hoping to break the silence. Then he noticed her squinting like something was bothering her. Kuroki wasn't sure what it was. Shy and a bit scared, he assumed she was really angry at him. Nervous, he tried again to get her attention, but Chihara was now looking at something else. She pointed at something down the street and said, in a very serious voice, that she saw a giant cat. Pom-pom. Kuroki looked in the same direction, but only saw a pastry shop with two cat-shaped decorations outside. Chihara insisted she saw two cats cuddled up together like friends. Kuroki was a little concerned. He asked if her eyes were okay, thinking maybe her contact lenses were causing trouble. But then he remembered. Those lenses didn't correct vision. So, Kuroki offered her his glasses to help her see clearly. Chihara placed the glasses over her red eyes. Kuroki waited while she looked again. Finally, she realized what it really was, took off the glasses and thanked him. The girl started acting a little strange, like she was in a trance, and Kuroki noticed that she was blushing. Trying to make her feel better, Kuroki said he also had trouble seeing the objects at first. Chihara didn't want to keep talking about it and asked him to forget what had happened. Kuroki apologized. She started walking again, looking a bit dazed, and Kuroki just watched her. As she walked, Kuroki thought she looked really cute. But to stop himself from getting carried away, he slapped his own cheeks to break the spell. They kept walking, and to start another conversation, Kuroki asked if she liked cats. But it was clear she didn't want to talk about that anymore. Still, Kuroki couldn't stop thinking about how cute she looked wearing glasses. That image kept messing with his mind. They arrived at the train station, and it was time to say goodbye since they each had to take a different train line. Before leaving, Chihara dug through her bag and asked Kuroki to wait a second. She took out a marker and asked him to hold out his arm. Kuroki was confused but followed her request without question. Chihara wrote her chat ID on his forearm. It was lovecat_. Then, very directly, she told him she wanted to talk to him outside of school too. They said goodbye, and Kuroki walked away smiling, convinced she must really like cats. But then a new thought hit him. It wasn't just about cats. He had just gotten a girl's contact. As he passed through the station turnstile, it hit him again. It wasn't just any girl. It was Chihara-san. That thought played in his head all the way home like a broken record. When he got home, he opened the door with a blank face and casually told his mom, "I got Chihara-san's contact." His mom congratulated him. A pair of shoes echoed through the school hallway. A girl sucking a lollipop was standing there, clearly waiting for someone. Chihara was walking by when someone sneaked up and hugged her from behind. A blonde girl with shining eyes smiled and asked what she was doing. She invited Chihara to come to her classroom like they were longtime friends. This girl was Chinatu Iwakura, who clearly knew her well. Chinatu decided to paint Chihara's nails, saying they looked too plain. Chihara tried not to laugh from the tickling, but Chinatu didn't care. She just kept talking, saying how the black nail polish suited her. Chinatu was very chatty and energetic. She started going on about her new boyfriend and how much he loved her. While she talked, Chihara focused more on the ticklish feeling on her cheeks than on what was being said. Blushing, Chinatu said her boyfriend didn't find her annoying, and that made her happy. She kept listing all his great qualities. With sparkling eyes, Chinatu thanked Chihara for always listening to her. Then she happily said, "I love you." Chihara started bleeding from the inside of her mouth. She had been biting her cheeks too hard, trying not to laugh. Chinatu noticed, but she was more interested in the nails and asked if she could take some pictures of them. Chihara didn't mind. Chinatu quickly sent the pictures to her boyfriend and proudly said he always replied fast. She showed Chihara the message, and within 7 seconds it was marked as read. She smiled proudly, but Chihara looked confused, like she didn't fully get it. So she asked her friend why she had sent the message. Patiently, Chinatu said it was because they liked to share what they were doing. It made people feel closer. Chihara thought for a moment. Chinatu smiled, glad she seemed to understand. Then she curiously asked if Chihara was also trying to get closer to someone. Chihara's glowing red eyes looked like headlights as she silently said yes. Chinatu was thrilled. She told her friend how cute she was and decided to give her a makeover, like a little doll. Chihara stayed quiet while Chinatu got more and more excited, telling her not to worry. Chihara nodded like a robot, agreeing to everything. Meanwhile, Kuroki was lying on the couch thinking about watching a movie before bed when his phone buzzed. He looked at it in shock. It was a message from Chihara. She had sent him a photo of a bowl of udon. Kuroki thought for a moment about what to reply. Then he sent back a message saying he had eaten fried mackerel for dinner. Nervously, he wondered if that was the right thing to say. He bounced on the couch, anxious, until his phone buzzed again. This time, it was a cat sticker from Chihara. To him, that felt like a good sign. He stared at his phone, amused that someone so mysterious ate something as normal as udon. But deep down, he scolded himself for thinking that way. On the other side, Chihara stared at her phone, looking a little confused and dazed, until someone called her to come take a bath.